Welcome to YOUCANIC. Today here in YOUCANIC we have a 2011 Cadillac STS, and this has got the V6 motor, 3.6 liter engine. We're going to go over how you would replace your serpentine belts. There are two belts on here as well as two tensioners. So we're going to go over how you'd replace the belts and tensioners. Pretty good recommendation to do them both at the same time, depending on your miles. I mean, belts are 60,000 inspect, 90,000 replace. This motor I believe has got 160 on it, so you would be best off to swap them both at the same time of a new belt and new tensioners, because the tension spring can wear out. We're going to go over how you would do that. So to start with, we have popped the hood. We've also removed, there's a plastic shield cover that goes right here. It's just held on by some push pins. We've removed that, and then there's a cover that goes over the intake here that we also had removed. Then you'll want to loosen these two clamps here on the intake and remove that. And then this is a breather hose right here. You can either pop it here or up at the top there, and then we'll be able to pull this out. This is just an 8mm or a flathead screwdriver, and then you just rock it and be able to pull the whole thing out. And like I said, the breather connection came out up top there, so we'll just take that all out in one unit. So now we've gained access to our tensioners and the pulleys themselves. So we're going to go ahead and remove the tension on the tensioners, pull the belt off, and then we can be able to remove the tensioners themselves. So we're going to just use there are special tools just for tensioner, but this one it's just a 1/2 inch drive tip, and so you can be able to put that in there and pop that belt off. We're not too worried about getting that completely out because we're going to take off that tensioner. If you weren't doing it this way, you would want to bend this, flatten out your belt, and be able to slide it off. And then on this side, we'll do the same. So we pop the tension, and the belt has been freed, and now we will remove these two. There's a bolt here for this tensioner, and there's a bolt here for this tensioner, and we're going to remove those. That's a size 15. So we've got removal of tensioner 1, inspect. Yeah, the bearing's sounding a little, getting a little worn out. And then we have tensioner number 2, same size. Okay, so the bolt is removed. And now you should be able to just pull the tensioner away and remove that. That's even got a little bit more noise than the other one. And now, because we're doing tensioners and belts all together, you'll make sure that you remove the belt completely. We're going to put this belt on first with this tensioner because it sits behind this belt, right? So we have crankshaft, AC, power steering, and tensioner. Smooth side around the tensioner, the bottom of this tensioner, crankshaft, of course rib side AC, rib side power steering pump. Then when we're done with that one, we'll go ahead and do this one. And this is the crankshaft, water pump, and alternator. And you're going to do rib around the crank, rib around water pump, alternator, and smooth side on this tensioner. This tensioner is a little bit tougher to get your belt behind it, so we're going to put the belt behind and then install the tensioner so that we don't need to, say, spin the belt and slide it up behind it. It gives us that better clearance. All right, so we're going to go to there. You're going to take your belt. I'm just going to put the belt around the top pulley here just because it's easy. So this is the power steering pump. It's easy to take. You got to feel your way up there. And we get it around there. And I also have it around the crank pulley, but I don't want to have it completely around the water pump pulley at the moment. You're going to take your tensioner with its bolt, and we're going to install this tensioner. You've got this guide pin here that needs to line up with a corresponding guide hole here to be able to make sure that your tension will work. Okay, so this is a size 15 to be able to tighten the tensioner bolt that holds the tensioner on. Okay, now we will use our 1/2 inch ratchet to be able to pull the tension away and be able to get this belt around the water pump. And we're feeling that all of the ribs have lined up where they need to be and the tension is set so that when we start the engine, we don't just throw the belt right off. And everything seems to be good there. So now we've got the belt number 1 done. We're going to go ahead and do belt number 2. So we have our tensioner, and this is the one where you're going to want to take your belt and you're going to want to make sure that you have it so your smooth side goes on the inside of this tensioner like that. It'll just make it a little bit easier. Line up that guide pin. And then that's a 15. Right, good and tight. And now, since we've got that smooth side on, we go around the crank. We've got the water pump. And the last one, we got to go around the alternator. So we'll release the tension on the tensioner. And pushing it down with our 1/2 inch. And now making sure that all the ribs are where they need to be. Release the tension, double check. And so that's how you would replace your tensioners and your serpentine belts on this engine. Your last things is you want to make sure that you put your intake line on, tighten those connections up, and make sure you make this vacuum hose connection back up. And so that's how you would replace your tensioners and your serpentine belts on your 2011 Cadillac STS with the 3.6 motor. Thanks for watching YOUCANIC, where you can be the mechanic.